special night for many, many reasons. We did our premiere for Cabin Fever before Beyond Fest. It was the Egyptian Horror Fest in this very room in August 23 years ago, in 2003, which is kind of crazy. And so, you know, it's an honor to get to be here tonight. We have the full cast in attendance, which is amazing. And Sam's doing an awesome after. So thank you to everyone at Lionsgate, Beyond Fest, our friends, and for you guys. There is one other thing, I want to bum out the room, but I gotta say it. The guy who was the most encouraging, who helped me make this movie, who put his name on it, and then actually took it off because he didn't want to get all the credit, was the most supportive, was David Lynch, and today we've been his 80th birthday. So, this is the movie that we need to stick and glue that. The movie wears its influences on its sleeve. Like, oh, this is great. You know, I was 22 when I wrote this. I mean, I was 28 when I shot it, or 30 when we finished it. It was a labor of love. We did it for nothing. And I got to shoot on Super 35. And every time, I didn't know this was doing a squeeze IP, then an IM, then a print, and it always looked muddy, it always looked grainy. And thankfully, Lionsgate let me go back to the original negative and scan it in 4K and clean it up. And all the gory details are so beautiful. So for David, for us, let's just have a fucking great time. We'll see you.
Ladies and gentlemen, your moderator for this evening, Mr. Sam Levinson.
I'm not sure movies get to be much more fun than that. Let's give a round of applause here for the writer, producer, director, Eli Roth. Let's give it up for Jordan Ladd. Ryder Strong, Joey Kern, James DeBello, and Serena Vincent. And the producer, Evan Ostrowski.
Before we start, how many people of that is your first time seeing it projected? Awesome, beautiful. How many people that is your first time seeing it ever? All right, good crowd. Did you guys have fun?
This movie is a true delight. It's scary, it's funny, it's sexy, it's so well crafted. And seeing it with an audience tonight was just an exhilarating experience. It's no mystery why Quentin included Cabin Fever in his top 20 best films of the 21st century. You have such a singular and unique voice as a filmmaker. I mean, rarely do you see a movie that's so confident and sure-footed in how completely nuts it is. It's been 25 years since you made this. What's it like watching it now?
It's surreal. I mean, I wrote it when I was 22, so it's over 30 years ago, because I'm fucking old. But you said there's jokes that, you know, it's like a whole movie for me. But all the things, it was interesting to watch with an audience today to see what beats worked, and, you try to, look, we did the whole movie for $1.5 million in 24 days, and over a period of a year. I mean, it was, the union shut us down. We never had the money to make the movie, so it was like a nightmare filming it, but I watch it and I go, why the fuck did we get rid of film? 35 millimeter, photochemical, just so beautiful. And the other thing that struck me is just how amazing the cast is and how lucky we got. Evan and I went to NYU together. We've known each other a long time, and we did our first, my animated shorts, Chowder Heads and then The Rotten Fruit. And after Rotten Fruit, he said, whatever happened to that script you wrote? So I wrote it when I was 22, and then we were like, I think it was 28 by the time we finally got the money together. 6 years of just trying to convince people. But it was great. I'm so proud of it. I just can't believe that that we did our premiere here. Here we are all these years later, still enjoying it, that you guys loved it and everything.
What was the landscape back in 2001 when you made this movie in terms of horror? I know that this was the first of a whole wave of kind of low budget horror films that came out in the late 2000s. What was it like trying to get it financed?
It was a nightmare. I mean, everyone looked.
It was a desert. That was the landscape. It was a desert.
Yeah. I mean,
Look, Eli and I remember we took this kind of gonzo trip to the Cannes Film Festival market to try to get anybody to listen to us. And very few did, even though Eli spoke pretty good French, that I remember. And it was a great trip, but it led us nowhere. But other things fell in line, luckily, and we were able to make it. But people thought we were nuts. Nobody was making horror movies. Films like this were not being made at this time, particularly at this budget level.
I mean, when we wrote it in '96, I remember I gave it to my agent. I had just got a Student Academy Award, wrote the scripts, and it was going to be like Evil Dead. But Randy gave it to our agent, and he's like, "Well, there's this other movie that just sold to Dimension for $500,000. It's called Scary Movie," which was later retitled Scream. And I remember sitting on a bus from New York back to Boston to my parents' house, reading Scream by Kevin Williams, Scary Movie by Kevin Williams, and going, "Oh, this is a professional. This is a real screenplay. I'm doing a 90-minute student film. This is an actual movie. What the fuck?" And so but people would tell me horror is dead, and I'd say horror isn't dead. Shitty movies are dead. And then Blair Witch happened in '97, '98, and I'm like, okay, see, horror's back. And they go, okay, well, you got to shoot it on video. I was like, no, I want this to look beautiful. I want it to look like, John Carpenter's The Thing and shoot Super 35. So we never folded and shot on video. We always held out to raise the money. And finally, Sam Fralick put in that first money, and we met Lauren Mays. It's just years of going through the wrong producers. But even then, people would tell me that horror is dead. It can never make money. That it's R-rated. You need a killer. You can't kill all your main characters. And then it wound up being Lionsgate's highest grossing film of 2003, which they then bought Saw, and it's kind of kicked off the whole Lionsgate horror.
I imagine that this was a fun movie to shoot. Knowing you, what were some of the craziest memories you guys have of working with Eli?
We signed agreements that we wouldn't talk about. What
It's
happened?
25 years later, it's okay.
When we started the screen,
We just had the best time. I mean, craziest memories. One of my crazy. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. All right. One of my craziest memories. Well, here's the deal: is that there was a character that got fired. That happens, right, in Hollywood. And so I don't know. We're always worried we were going to get fired, right, as actors. And so there was. We all had the best time together. We bonded. We went to dinners. It was incredible. But there was this one night, and it was really cold, and it was really dark. And was it you? One of the producers came up to me and was like, "Serena, Eli would like to speak with you out there." And there was deep in the deep dark woods. And I was like, "Oh my God, okay, shit, I'm gonna fire." So I'm walking into the deep dark woods, and 1,000% sure I'm getting fired now. And I get out there, and then a giant gorilla jumped out of the woods, and it was and it was Eli, and I realized it. Randomly in the middle of a shooting night. So that was one crazy story that happened.
I think that was me, by the way.
It was.
I do remember calling Eli's parents, asking them to FedEx the gorilla suit because it was getting close to Halloween, and I thought, having gone to NYU with Eli, who the gorilla suit was in every student film, I said, it's got to be in Cabin Fever. Can you FedEx it to us, and we'll just figure it out? So I don't think it made the cut, but I don't know if Eli, you want to tell a story about directing in the gorilla suit?
I did do it, yeah. I mean, I felt like I was in a gorilla suit anyway, so yes. We were shooting in North Carolina. We were in this Boy Scout camp. So there were school groups that would come because it was, during the fall. And the most popular show by far in North Carolina in 2001 was Boy Meets World, which aired 4 times a day. So Ryder, when we were doing his full blood head to toe look, I remember we had a thing where and Ryder was the best part. We had such an amazing time when we go on and on, but he was like covered in blood. And there was, for some reason, we had to wait till dark to shoot a scene. We couldn't shoot the scenes back to back. So it's like, do you want to go back to the hotel and shower? He's like, you know what, once I'm in the blood stuff, it's easier if I just stay like this. So he's like, goes for a walk outside the cab. Hours later, Ryder just comes back, he's like, hide me! He had gone out and he ran into one of these school groups. And at first, these 10-year-old kids were like, bloody man in the woods. And then it was Bloody Sean from Boy Meets World. And they fucking lost it. And they start chasing him. It's like, hide me. And like ants, they just descended that hill. Just kids just going crazy, going, Sean's here, he's hurt, he's running. So that's what it was like.
It was such a good time, man. I mean, this movie was amazing. We were also young and committed. Everything went wrong with this movie. Like literally everything you could. If you like take the independent film list of what could go wrong, everything did go wrong, and yet we were never daunted. We always just felt like we immediately bonded. This was we had rehearsal, which never happens. We had like a week of rehearsal, and we just bonded so quickly, and nothing could stop us. And Eli had such a vision. The script was just the craziest thing any of us had ever read, and yet we all loved it. And so the moment we all showed up for rehearsal and we realized that we all understood the movie we were making, which was like, is it funny? Is it scary? Is it gross? Is it all three at the same time? We just committed, and so when everything fell apart, when the union shut us down, we had no money, we lost investors.
Crew went on strike.
What?
Crew went on strike.
Yeah, and everything went wrong. But we stuck together, and it just felt like we kind of always knew that the movie was going to find its audience, and it did.
Speaking of, this is not working.
Speaking of things going wrong, Joey nearly lost his eye twice, so he might want to speak to that. But you'll notice in the movie, he's such a pro. He used his handkerchief prop a lot and kind of turned in profile all of it. So if you re-watch it, he's so good. Very clever.
It was a dangerous set. It was a dangerous. Eli runs a very unhealthy, dangerous set. We were all children. We had no idea what we were doing. He was the oldest. We trusted him.
The good news is what we did when they attacked the car, the charge, for some reason, I think the charge was set too high on the glass.
Because you had an irresponsible stunt guy.
He was irresponsible. He was just drunk. But we were also lighting that guy Dino on fire. So we had 2 ambulances in case one ambulance broke down. So when Joey swung at the thing and just the glass exploded in his face and went like into his eyes, we had an ambulance there and rushed him right to the ambulance. And so I had to film the rest of the night thinking like, oh my God, is Joey gonna go blind? It was terrifying. But they didn't stop. They were like, no, let's keep shooting. We kept shooting. We have another ambulance, it's okay.
We had to recover, we were good. We had to move on.
Yeah, and then again, he swung, he almost got us. It was a mess. But like 3 days before shooting, we had these investors that we called the Lunderguards, because of Jerry Lundergaard from Fargo, Bill Mason's character. Because they talk like this, and they tell me, you should put Mario Lopez in your movie, because he's like the Beatles. And I'm like, no one would argue. He's like the 6th Beatle, but he's not going to be in this movie. And 3 days before shooting, one of the guys is like, yeah, I really think you should cast my daughter, because she wants to be an actress. And I was like, well, we have like 2 amazing parts that are already filled, and we have like professionals that are going to be great. He's like, yeah, then we're not giving you the $500,000. We're like, oh fuck. And so we literally would have to. I remember that first week of shooting. I was like, well, let's see if we can get one day in the can, and then every day was a victory. I mean, Scott, our DP, was charging Philip Stock with his credit card. During takes, it was like calling Aunt Gladys and like wiring $5,000. And like, and my friend Jack was like, yeah, my dad will give you 10 grand for you to buy Philip Stock. We'd give people the paychecks on Friday and then make phone calls all day Saturday raising money so the checks would clear on Monday. And we all developed like stress-related health problems. It was terrible. And then in the middle of it, then the union shut us down. And we had to like basically shoot out of North Carolina, limp back, get a borrowed editing. I mean, I gave it all points in the movie to everybody just because I couldn't pay anyone. And it's just nice that it all paid off. But it's crazy. It was like literally duct tape and chewing gum that we finished this film.
And you lost 2 actors while shooting.
Yes. One of them was the
dog?
The dog, yeah. There was an original dog that was probably 600 years old that we were told was like a killer dog. And
It was so cute.
it was just, he was like blind and limping. And
He worked with Swayze.
Yes, he's the dog with the black dog.
He's a black dog, that's right, the dog with the black dog.
Is that how they sold them?
Yeah. Like he's 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon,
So we shoot for half a day and I'm so depressed because it's like the shoot's going really well despite all the problems. It's like the footage is looking beautiful, it's all coming together. And then this dog stuff happens and I'm like, oh, there's no way to cut around this. This is just gonna be awful. So then Lauren calls me at like midnight.
Yeah, I think one of our security persons had a actual police dog, a Belgian Malamute that they use in the SWAT teams and the SEAL teams, and that's what you see on screen. I forget the dog's name, but he was Dane. What was his name?
It was Rock. It was terrifying. She calls, she's like, so this dog is, yeah, it's a Belgian Malinois.
Yeah, and they would teach the dog, they train the dog to attack in like Swedish or Dutch, so that like the bad guys could say, stop, doggy. But it was a scary animal, so Eli had to adjust the shots on the fly because we had to keep the actors and the crew back, like 100, 200 feet so that the dog wouldn't kill us?
Yes, the dog, well, I was about to, I'm holding the dog. First, I'm terrified. I grew up a German Shepherd, so it's pretty comfortable. And this thing was like terrifying. And they were like, don't touch the dog. Oh, don't y'all look at him. I'm like, and then so Ryder was like, I go up to Ryder, we do one rehearsal, and you're like, whoa, and the dog jumped up and comes this close to like biting his throat out. And Ryder's like, is that a movie dog? And I'm like, yeah, I think. And I go, I thought this dog's been on camera. And I go to the police guy and they're like, well, he ain't never been on camera per se, but whether there's a camera there or not, that don't make no difference to him. You don't know what a movie is. You don't watch it. I'm not expecting him to, but I didn't think that maybe it was like, here's the thing. Once you go in attack mode, he ain't gonna come out of attack mode. So he ain't in attack mode, we do it, but he ain't coming out. I'm like, no. How do we put him in your actor? Like, I don't know, man. And so we couldn't, when you'll never see him on camera with an actor, and because we had to like set up remote controls and the whole crew would hide. And it's like, Bowie! And that's why it's so out of focus with Serena, because it's like a huge 300-pound guy like covered in American Gladiator pads with this fucking thing. It was terrifying. That's why it's like in slow motion. You could barely get footage of the dog. But of course, I have to hold the dog as Justin. And the first take, I'm like petting him and calm and blah blah, and the dog just fucking starts hopping my leg. And it's like, Rock, you're gonna have the part, buddy. It's right. But yeah, it almost killed Ryder. And Ryder's still a great sport about continuing being in the movie after that.
And so the other actor that you lost was the one who was originally supposed to play Justin.
Yeah.
How was it stepping in as Justin?
It was weird. It was the first week of shooting, and I wrote the part for Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville. So Mike Rosenbaum was a friend, and he called me, and he's like, I can't do it. Why? He's like, because this TV show I'm on, I'm playing Lex Luthor, and like, it's like a huge thing. It's so busy, they got me doing all this promotion, I can't like duck out, for a couple days to do it. So there was another actor I cast who had done these commercials that were funny, but I never read him. I was like, just sort of cast him. And he showed up and it just wasn't working. And
But here's the deal, sorry to cut it off, but like, we had spent, as Ryder said, a week of rehearsals together, and Eli was reading Grant's part the entire time, so it was just like, he was so funny, it was so funny, it all just worked, so to plug someone else in there didn't make sense. So, I think, didn't we force you to do this? Make this decision?
it was like Harrison
I think we were like, come on Eli, you have to play this part.
They were very, the cast is very encouraging, but on your first movie, on day 5 of shooting, when you're like the writer, director, producer, you also then fire an actor at lunch and replace him with yourself. There were some fucking eye rolls. But you know what? People were like, oh, he's a fucking actor now, and he's doing an impression of a kid from high school. But we had read it, so this other kid didn't know the lines about, and I just had to bite the bullet. I'm like, dude, I'm really sorry. This is on me. I should have rehearsed it. It's just not working. And he was like, all right, so I'm like, don't. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I just know it's not working. And then I sent him home, and then I did the part. So I was like, you know, the good news is Tarantino loved it. He put me anywhere as bastards. So
I did with Timothy Chalamet.
True story. He was 4 at the time.
I love the local actors in this movie, especially the old man in the general store. That was his first film?
Yeah, it was amazing. Robert Harris, he was amazing. I mean, he just, this guy, he plays no longer with us, he played the Santa Claus, and he was a theater actor, and everyone that we found there was so great. I mean, Robert would just like, can I just say this thing about these Shirley Temple bottles? And I was like, I just came in here with the balls at the bar, so gave me some Coke and some ammonia, and I was just going to have a spam. And then Serena, you guys were with him at like a convention,
Serena and I were in North Carolina, and we were with him, and we were doing a Q&A like this on the stage. And poor Robert was in a wheelchair, and they didn't get him up the ramp, and he biffed it, and he got very injured. And so Serena and I went back to a small room and spent a lot of time with him until the ambulance came. And then we were thrilled that we did leave his seat. Yes?
No, I was saying, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go on.
I just wanted to say, speaking of that character, can you say that line now? Would you write that line now?
Oh, the joke, we couldn't write it then. But we went for it.
You could years later. It was so cringy. Could you do it now? It's ballsy. It's great.
Well, it was, I mean, you couldn't do it then, that's why but that was the whole fun of it. But that was our experience in North Carolina, is you'd go into a store, you'd be talking to the shop owner, and they're so nice. I'm like, isn't it weird you have a Confederate flag? He's like, oh, you don't have to worry about, and you can fill in the rest of the sentence yourself. You just go. I just realized I'm Jewish, and you're smiling, and you just want to get out of there, and that happened to me for real. And so I was just like, if it's a real thing, I put it in, but then I did the twist of making it that he just is trying to use the sign, it doesn't quite get it. But the only way to, look, the joke was inappropriate then, that was the fun. The whole movie was like, I may never make another movie again. That's it. And like, look, there are all these great local actors, like Pancake Dennis, Dennis, I was reading all these kids, Matthew Helms. He's on Instagram, Strong Ballet Man. That is his name, Ballet Man. Yes, you can find him. The nicest kid, and he comes in, he's like, hello, sir. My name is Matthew Helms, sir, and I would like to read for Dennis, sir. I'm like, okay, he's like, I'm also a 9th degree black belt in karate. I'm like, what? He's like, so his mom's like, I'm like, can I see something? And he goes, what? He just starts like scissor picking at the other end of his matrix, and I was just like, what in the actual fuck is happening? Like, none of this is in the script, and 100% of this is going in the movie. So we wrote it into the film, and Dennis was like, it was so bizarre, but that is the moment where the movie either like jumps the shark or you're with it. And I remember seeing it at the AMC 16 in Burbank, and people are like, what the fuck is this? And I got up and left, and everyone just started applauding. And that was it. Like, people just started cheering because of that. So, but he was great. He was just so fun. And then even like the big guy who gets the screwdriver in his ear.
The box?
The guy with the kid, yeah. It was just
Who was the man with the box?
That was Richard Boone. So I wanted like a big guy that looked sort of like Lurch, you know, kind of that dude, George Daniel Steele. And we found him wandering around a grocery store. And so we're like, do you want to be in the movie? He's like, all right. And we're like in the van driving, and we're like, and he's like, yeah, I just got out of prison. And the crew's in the van, it's all of us in one van. He's like, we're like, what? And he's like, well, it wasn't like prison, it was like for crazy people prison? Like a mental asylum? I was like, yeah. We're like, what did you do? He's like, I took my daddy's bulldozer and done running all over town. Okay. And then he gets up there, he's like, man, what's this food, man? He's like, I can eat all this food. I'm like, yeah, man, I got Boy Meets World. That's Boy Meets World. That's Boy Meets World. I'm gonna be a movie, Boy Meets World. I'm gonna be a movie, Boy Meets World. I'm like, Boy Meets World's gonna put a screwdriver through your head. He's like, oh man, Boy Meets World. I can't believe this, man, Boy Meets World. He does the screwdriver, he takes a photo, and then he's going around to restaurants going, I'm in a movie with Boy Meets World. Y'all better give me free food. And it was working. It was like 100% working. And then he somehow got a hold of my phone number, and we're calling saying, hey man, Eli, hey, of course, Richard Boone, man, what's going on? I'm like, hey, Richard. He's like, hey, man, Bruce Willis gonna come down for me? Bruce Willis will not be coming down. Hey, I thought you was playing this movie right now. What about the girl from Step by Step? I don't know the girl from Step by Step. Maybe sitcom. So I don't think she's like, what about Bob Saget? He's like, Saget's a possibility. Saget might show up. He's like, man, I gotta go, Eli, you talk too much. I mean, you guys, what are your memories of the local actors and the Jimmy, you know, the pancake scene?
I have no memory of that per se. It was interesting. It was a lot of fun, but I have more memories of like Offset. Maybe memory we go in like our hangout would be like a karaoke bar. Everybody would come in there, you know. Everybody took it very seriously, and Eli did his Rocky Man. But the William Shatner version,
No, great North Carolina.
everybody was sort of like, is he being serious? Is he? Or is he just creating this beautiful song? But it was, I don't know, what did we talk about? The local guys invited us to a bluegrass jam, jamboree, in an old barn. Fun. I mean,
Was that Happy Wednesday though?
Yeah.
The band is in the end of the movie. We went to
Their shed.
What?
Their shed.
Yeah, and they just had Rolling Rocks. You could pay for a buck and they go to our box. And then they have a cat, but they play the spoons on the cat.
Oh, and DJ. He was DJ, but I don't know, like in the middle of a workday, he was like, I have some moonshine for you.
Oh my God.
And
Oh yeah.
Eli was like, don't drink that.
The moonshine was the thing.
DJ was our PA who we asked if we needed to flatten the tire and he just stabbed a knife into the tire. Instead of just letting the air out. We're like, we need the flat tire for the truck and he just stuffed it.
DJ was like a deputy too.
Yes, oh, cool, yeah.
But like an honorary deputy, right?
Yeah.
It was Deputy Winston. He stabbed his tire. No, I remember with Scott, my DP, we were scouting the, we were looking at the properties, we were at the Hog Lady's house. And there was a local friend of the production, this guy Tom Terrell, who's like, had a really nice, beautiful property that, he's like, just go and meet my property manager, you guys can take a look. It's like Friday night at like 7:30 or 8, and Scott and I get there. And it's just the two of us, and we just see this guy, and he's in a truck. And he gets out, and he shows up, and you can smell him, like a mile away, this guy's fucking lit. And he just goes, what are you, and he's got a fucking gun in his hand. And so I'm saying, it was just like, this guy like that. I'm like, oh great, this is the guy that's gonna show us the property. And he was like, hey man, he's got this fucking mason jar filled to the room with bugs in it. But he's like, drink it. And I'm like, what? And he's like, man, why don't you you drink this, you fucking drink it. I'm like, and he looked away, and he goes, squirrel! And he starts fucking shooting in the tree. And I was like, what's going on? He goes, that's good meat. That's my fucking dinner right there. So it's really happening. Like there's a guy drunk with moonshine shooting a squirrel. And this is like the friend of the guy who owns the property. He's a property manager. And then he just looks at Scott and he goes, "Your turn, pussy." And Scott's like, 12 minutes of like drinking this moonshine. And then I'm like, "Is everything all right? What's going on?" He's like, "I don't know, I gotta get married tomorrow." Is this like your bachelor party? He's like, "I don't want to do it, I'm fucking pissed." And then he goes, and I was like, "Hey, is that the squirrel?" And he's like, "Squirrel!" And he fucking runs off, and we just got in the car and fucking took off. The last thing we shot, the guy shooting, he's like waving gun going, "Come back, come back." I mean, it was like, we had the joke in the script, like, why do you want to shoot squirrels, you know? And like, there's a guy who's out there, like, all this shit was real, it was crazy. And so you think it's weird, you think it's made up, and like, half the shit happened to us. I shaved my face off, that's where the idea came from. I got sick, I was in Iceland, I was 19, I was cleaning out a barn with my brother, working on this horse farm, and I scratched my face and I looked at my hand and there were just chunks of flesh in my hand. So of course, I went to sleep, and the next day I went to shave, and I started shaving, and it was so itchy, it felt really good, and I just shaved half of my face off. And then, you know, the people on the farm were like, "Yeah, we need to get you to, first it was, the Americans can't shave, haha." And I was like, "Oh no, we need to get you to a hospital." So we drive to Reykjavik, and this is 19, and I go to this hospital, and no one speaks English, and the last thing you want when you're in a hospital, when your face is falling off, is the doctor to go, just absolute horror. Like they couldn't even explain what it was. But they gave me some cream, thank God, and it cleared it up. It was some kind of infection. And then I just became obsessed with it, the idea of like shaving your face off, the leg shaving, which Serena did so beautifully. Nice to see it in 4K, isn't it gorgeous?
Also, you know, I have to ask the scene about the bowling alley.
Yes.
Where's that come from?
Again, true story. You can Google it. When I grew up, there was a bowling alley called Sammy White's Brighton Bowl. That was in Brighton, right? And it was Sammy White who played on the Red Sox, and he opened a bowling alley, which was candlepin bowling, not the 10-pin. We couldn't find them. So we would go there every weekend, and then there was a bald guy who used to give us his shoes, and then one weekend we were like, what happened? It closed. My dad said, "We can't go, it's closed." I'm like, "Why?" And there was an employee who had come and tied up everybody and beaten them to death with like a ball and a bowling pin. And it's funny now because we just saw the crazy scene, but my brother and I were obsessed with whether or not the killer, as children, bowled the bald guy's head. And was the head in the ball returning? Was he still smiling? So I completely wrote that scene 100%. And then I was like, then it turned into an accurate dealership. But that was like, but anyone who grew up in the Boston area, that's my age, remembers Sammy White's Candlepin Bowling.
How old were you?
I mean, when the guy died?
Yeah.
We must have been 10 or 11 when it stopped. But that was like every weekend we went Candlepin Bowling. And then imagine one weekend it's like, well, you can't go because everybody there was beaten to death. That was Massachusetts in the 80s. It's like, oh, guess we gotta go do mini golf. But the guy apparently was in Walpole State Prison. And I heard this, and when he would come up for parole, they would say, "Please take off your shirt," and he had tattoos. He had prison tattoos of everyone who murdered with their names on it, and bowling pins, tattoos of bowling pins.
But is he seen Captain Fever? See the movie?
I don't know.
So you make this movie, you know, it takes a year to finish it. You then take it to the Toronto Film Festival, and it's a bidding war. What was that like?
It was surreal. I mean, you know, because you're making the movie on your own. You know, like it's like a faith-based business. You just like make a movie and hope to God it works out. You know, I remember that. You know, we all thought it was funny. We all were laughing while we did. But we also don't know if everyone's just going to outright reject it. And then I remember the first screening. You know, your stomach's like turning, and the lights go down. I thought, fuck, this better work. Like all this money, and Sam Freilich has kind of basically mortgaged his house at that point. And after the union shuts down, my dad took like his entire life savings and put it into the movie. So if this thing didn't sell, a lot of people would be financially in trouble. And then 15 minutes, people are with it, they're laughing, and then people start like getting on their Blackberries and running out. I mean, everyone remembers that. Like we were.
Yeah, it was the second week of the festival, I think, and then the first week of the Toronto Film Festival, nothing had sold. So all the buyers were there hungry to buy something, and there was nothing to buy. And they decided to program us in the second week. So all of a sudden, our film is being screened. The first screening was like a press screening. So 10 press people and 50 acquisition people who don't clap, don't laugh, don't squeal, do nothing. They're just basically they're industry robots. And it was really hard to tell if the film was working from my memory until Ari, the hermit, was lit on fire and people started to run out. And they were, and I remember Eli thinking, says things like, oh, they're sick, they get the movie. But no, they were acquisition executives calling their bosses saying, there's something here to buy, you need to get down here now and see it. And we had partnered with Casting Elways, who was running the William Morris independent department at the time. And as soon as the lights came up, everybody rushed him and said, we want to buy this film, how much? Let's do the deal right now. And I remember Cassian kind of pushing me and Eli and Lauren kind of like out of the room and saying to everybody, there would be no, I'm not talking deal until you guys see it in front of a live audience, which is going to happen that night at midnight, the big screening. Not talking to anybody until then, see it with a live audience, and then we'll talk money. And then that screening went off, burnt the house down. Everybody loved it. Everybody went crazy, and I don't know, a day and a half later, we had an amazing deal with Lionsgate, which is still into effect this day.
It was crazy. You're like, you hear these stories about like Spitfire Grill or Happy Texas, movies that sold for crazy amounts at festivals, and you just hope you can be one of those stories. And that's what sort of really brought Midnight Madness to the forefront. It wasn't really taken seriously for acquisitions or anything, and so people, just dead last movie, which we needed because it was so late to make the movie. I was literally sound mixing, and I watched the print at the lab by myself, and then I remember landing, and a friend of mine was like, man, everyone who's seen the movie said it's amazing. Literally, it had just been me. But Harry Knowles had hyped it on Annual News, saying, I have a feeling about this one. And people were just talking about it. They're like, what is this movie? Someone made like an old school splatter film. And so afterwards, we got surrounded by 7 studios, and I remember the bidding was like 8 million, 9 million, 10 million. But they were like, 10 million, they had to wait until Monday to screen it in their LA offices. And Lionsgate was like, and Peter Block, round of applause for Peter, who's here, was actually the acquisitions. Peter Block, where are you? So Peter was part of the team. Peter got it. So Peter, Tom Walker, and rest in peace, Jason Constantine came up, and they were like, Jason's the greatest, loved him. So Jason, Tom, and Peter were like, we get this, okay, we can pay you $3.5 million, but we'll guarantee 12 million in it, which means 2,000 screen movies. And I was like, that's all I want. Is we made it for $1.5 million, so everyone's out, everyone's clean, all the investors made their money back, plus a little bit of profit. But I need to be a theatrical director. I want people to see this in a multiplex. I want to prove that you can take a movie for $1.5 million and put it out there in the same theater where people would pay to see, Lord of the Rings or whatever. So it really, and then it wound up, it was a big hit for Lionsgate. The number 2 film that year was Rob Zombie, House of Thousand Corpses. So you could feel it. It was like part of a wave with 28 Days Later, and Freddy vs. Jason, and it was just, 2003 was an amazing moment for R-rated horror.
So, do you have any future plans for Cabin Fever?
Yes, but we can't announce anything yet.
It's gonna be great.
We'll get something soon to say. I was pushing to try and get it done today. Hopefully soon we'll make an announcement. I had an idea. I was thinking after watching that, I was like, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I really enjoyed it. I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I wasn't in it. So I was thinking maybe if we could have another shot at it, just have the same actors with you. We'll go back to the old sets, and after we have, we become better actors, and we get another shot at it. Just redo the exact same thing, but just older.
They never reference it?
They never reference it. No, they never say, hey, we're 20.
You're right, it could work. Would we be older townspeople now? We'd be older than the townspeople now.
We get older townspeople. Yeah, we're gonna be even older. They're still there, get the same guys. It's a great idea. pancake Dennis is like 40.
Well, he's 30s. He's very tall.
That's a job. I know. Well, that's the actor in him. You always want to redo.
Last question. Let's say in the audience tonight, there's a young Eli Roth who wants to make a completely batshit film. What advice would you give him?
Well, to that filmmaker, I would say, stick to your guns. I mean, for 6 years, everybody told me that this was like an unmakeable piece of shit. Now, there are those who make that argument after seeing the film. Right? And it's movies, you're to love it or hate it kind of film, I get that. But I do think that, when you have an idea, like you have to be crazy enough. You have to have total belief, but you need full preparation. I mean, I didn't just walk on set and say, hey, I want to direct a movie. I started PAing on set when I was 18 years old. So when I was 28, I stepped on set. I'd been an assistant director. I had done background PA work, extras casting, editing, assistant editor. I worked every assistant producer, assistant to the director, all for no money, or sometimes $90 a day, 18-hour days, 0-degree weather. I just understood. We all watched, none of us would be like, I've seen every episode of The Pit. Let me just go be a surgeon, But people have the idea that you can just watch a bunch of movies and go make a movie without the experience. And sometimes that does work, but you're much better off. I would say for that person, get that on-set experience and then have that total perseverance and don't let anyone, if you're getting opinions from people, if everyone is giving you the same note, it's worth listening to, but otherwise at a certain point, sometimes you just have to be totally insane and almost like, people said that Marty Supreme, they're like, oh, he's an unlikable character. I'm like, no, he's not. That's me. I'm exactly like that. It was me during Cabin Fever. It was just like absolutely not taking no for an answer, finding any way around, just like go, like figuring it out. Like you have to have that like total commitment and perseverance. And also, the less you can care about making money and having stuff, the better off you're going to be. I mean, I was broke until I was 30, like in my early 30s. I didn't mind I was broke when I made Cabin Fever. But I had a movie, I was like borrowing money from my parents to pay $700 a month rent at 30 years old when all your friends are like married and have health insurance and stuff. And I was like, I don't care, I'll eat, ramen. I just want to, I'd rather spend the money on 35mm film stock. So if you have that mentality and that hunger and that total dedication, you really need it. Because you have to be completely insane to do this.
Thank you guys for coming out tonight. Eli, you're a true hero. Thanks for hanging out, everyone.
Joining live, Bobby Strong, Terry Kerr, James DeBello, Serena Benson, Kevin Strasky. Thanks, everybody.
That's great. Ready? Okay, one more. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.